For the second presentation, the topic is understanding the dynamics why learning will not remain the same after COVID-19. This is going to be presented by Professor Abiodun Musa Aibinu. Professor Abiodun Musa Aibinu is an acadopreneur and a highly motivated, career-driven achiever with over 22 years working experience in the field of information and communication, robotics, mechatronics engineering, telecommunication engineering, teaching, and research in the field of artificial intelligence, ICT and robotics. He's a professor of mechatronics engineering at Federal University of Technology, Fut, Mina, Nigeria. However, prior to venturing into academic field, he worked with MTN Communication Nigeria Limited, GS Telecom Nigeria Limited, DCC Satellite and Networks Limited, Organa Consulting and Investment Limited, to mention but a few. Professor Aibinu is a professor of mechatronics, as I said, and director, Center for Open Distance and E-Learning at Federal University of Technology, Mina. And he believes that academic products could be turned into ideas, could be turned into business, something that can generate money. Please, may I have Professor Musa Aibinu on?
Okay, good morning, everybody. Yeah, and thanks a lot, the moderator, for inviting me to this event. Please, can you allow me to share my screen, please? Okay, thanks, I can do that now. So, just a minute. Okay. Hope you can all see my screen, everybody.
Yes, very well.
Yeah, okay, fine. So I believe our Vice Chancellor is still there. So let me start by saying all protocols duly observed. And please, as we witnessed the other time that there was an intruder, so if it happens, please just remain calm. The admin and the moderator will handle the situation. Please remain calm. So I've been asked to talk on this topic, understanding the dynamics. Learning will not remain the same after this period. So this is going to be the outline of my presentation. So first of all, I will just mention one or two things, and then as per COVID, and then I will talk about state of learning before this period, and I will talk about what's really happening now, and then what's going to happen next, understanding the dynamics. Then there will be conclusion and recommendation. So let's start. This is what we are before COVID, before this pandemic. We have a lot of issues that we were battling with. Professor Harulogu mentioned some, and then we can we are still in use of some of these tools, and then there were basically that period was characterized by minimal use of ICT for learning. So, and then as we were battling with that, then there was this global pandemic, and then things started deteriorating. So this presentation aims at underscoring the changes that we have witnessed, and then what are those things that may be coming next. So let me also clarify one thing. I'm not talking with certainty. Only God has that certainty. But we can model and predict part of those things that may happen. So first thing is that learning may not be the same. So let's look at state of learning before this COVID-19. When you look at those two beautiful pictures by the left-hand side or the right-hand side of your screen, it actually depends. You will see the normal thing that we are used to in our university. Learning has always been challenging, and that was even before the advent of COVID. We had issues with overall quality. As Professor Lulogun mentioned, I can assure every one of us that learning using online or distance learning has better quality than what you are used to face-to-face. Look at that beautiful picture, the first one there. What type of learning do you think can take place under such a condition? look at the room, overpopulated. So the challenges have led to the challenges greatly and has been affecting the overall quality of the graduates coming out. So there is need for us to reshape our educational system in Nigeria, because proper learning or effective learning may not be achievable under this condition. Then what happened? What we are used to is that we have teachers or facilitator. They stand at the front of the class, dishing out notes and the rest, and then they set tests and the rest, and there is less of one-to-one interaction. And this approach has been what we have been used to, all of us. Our primary school, our secondary school, university, also the same. So that has been the state. And then what of the other thing, one of the other characteristics is that poor use of ICT tools during that period. And the facilities and equipment are not totally adequate for most higher institutions. Another thing is that, as the last speaker mentioned, we admitted very unreasonable high number. And we know that the capacity and the infrastructure may not be able to sustain them. So not only that, insufficient internship opportunity for learners or students in what we are used to as face-to-face. The last speaker also mentioned that the quality and the opportunity for learning under ODL or e-learning is going to be, has been very, very tremendous and better than the face-to-face that we are used to. So when you are doing all these things under pre-COVID, the whole thing is that insufficient internship opportunity for learners and the problems are just too numerous. We can continue to just mention this. So that has been what we are used to before COVID-19. What happened? Some months ago or so, there was this onset of COVID-19, and then one thing has been that despite the problem we have faced ahead of that, this has also added more to it. That one-size-fits-all approach will have never been able to solve this thing. So the response that we witness and we are witnessing is the application of technology to transform how we teach and how we learn. Some months ago, if some of us have been told, let's say just a year ago, 12 months ago, that there's going to be online webinar series like this, people will say, if no be Panadol, can never be what? Panadol, that who will participate online. And some gave it lot of names that are Agbelero, that is just trying to mimic education. But now we have seen that it has come to be the norm. So nowadays, the physical formality of classroom culture has totally melted away during this period. And then I'm happy that we have over 242 participants online right now listening to this lecture, which 12 months ago, you could hardly boast of 12. So what has happened? The effect of COVID on learning also, there have been a series of guidelines from health regulatory bodies. We have the WHO, we have the Federal Ministry of NCDC, telling us about social distancing, social and physical distancing. So this regulation actually will make the face-to-face that we are used to not to be thing that may be really, really possible. Because when you look at the beautiful picture of those classrooms I shared at the beginning of this, what will now happen if you are to maintain 2-meter distance apart? So you can see that the facility, the infrastructure, the lecture room, the hall, the workshop may not be useful. So also, COVID-19 has actually injected a lot of uncertainties. Some weeks ago or months ago, there was so much rumor about the opening of higher institutions or educational institutions in Nigeria. And about 2 weeks ago, there was that move about West African Examination Council and the rest. But as it happened, you can see that a lot of things are seriously happening. Public opinion concerning safety will always take precedence. Even World Health Organization had been saying that let's take our safety in first. Let's look at our safety. So part of the challenges that we are presently facing with is inadequate facility for early detection. So based on all this one, don't forget all these stress and less, we are now adding additional stress on the already inadequate resources. So this has made it nearly impossible for most of our institutions to take necessary action. So there is need for us to readjust. There's need for us to look at the way we handle learning. There's need for us to look beyond that. So what is going to happen as per post-COVID-19? So first of all is that let us even define what we call post-COVID-19. Post-COVID-19, I just refer to that period that what we may be having will be just a semblance of what we used to know. That is semblance of normalcy before the advent of coronavirus. So the total complete eradication of COVID-19 is actually not guaranteed in the nearest future. We call that period as post-COVID-19. So what are those things that are going to be affected when we say normalcy may never be same? One, our coursework, our classwork, our classrooms, our learning model, our sort of face-to-face interaction. So coursework is going to be affected. Field training, or what is called internship, is going to be affected. As of today, how many industries have actually totally reopened? We need to ask ourselves. Also, how we handle our examinations will be affected. So what of research and innovation? If the lab or if our labs are not going to be open so soon, how do we continue with our research? Are we saying that innovation is going to is going to be put in something that we call Lagos traffic, that is standstill? So those are the things we are going to be looking at. So those are the realities that we may be witnessing in post-COVID. Let's look at coursework during post-COVID. Coursework, one thing I will say is that when you look at the beautiful picture shared, for those who are just joining us, let me show us the picture. You can see that upper picture there. So how do we handle large classes like this? How do we teach? How do we ensure? Okay, please, the admin should take over. The admin should take over, please. The admin should take over. The moderator should actually take over and maybe stop screen sharing first. And then, okay.
Please stop screen sharing, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
I think. Okay. So, for us to actually comply with ETH regulation, number one is that there is need for us to unbundle our classes, maybe make it into smaller classes of maximum 20, 30, so that we can maintain that physical and social distances as recommended. But this one also will bring that on, that it has its own implication. If we are creating smaller streams, smaller classes, then we are talking about employing or using additional hands. And then not only that, that lecture rooms and the rest that we have that are so gigantic, how many can they actually take? So this option calls for more teaching hands if you want to unbundle and if you want to have smaller classroom. And then what is going to happen to this learning? One practical solution is to take advantage of what is called ICT learning tools. Under this one, we may be looking at what is called e-learning, virtual learning, online learning, and so on. So they will come handy. And also, as part of post-COVID-19, for some of our participants, there is need for us to enhance our skill using our knowledge of graphics, our knowledge of infographics, video, animation, and the rest. So graphics and illustration using ICT tool may be required to enhance learning because you are learning over internet, and then we have been used to that physical or face-to-face. So there will be greater need for graphic editors and then illustrators. So for coursework, we need to make use of ICT learning tools, and then we need to also make a lot of graphics and information. What of field training and internship during post-COVID-19? One thing I can assure you is that during this period, we are going to witness lot of application of ICT tools like augmented reality, virtual reality. Just about 2 weeks ago, a university in London adopted the use of augmented reality for wordland. So instead of training doctors following the consultant around and rest, and then they can now stay in the comfort of their home and be watching and be interacting with patients that are on the sick bed and rest. So augmented reality will actually come into it. What of in engineering? Let's take electrical and electronics that you need to teach how to solder and less. First of all, you can apply augmented reality or virtual reality to teach your student how to do this. And then with animation, or what you have to do is that they may just have to actually go for 1 or 2 sessions instead of them crowding in the normal laboratory. So field training, internship opportunity, and less may have to be done using ICT tools because of the constraint imposed on us by COVID-19 and us unbundling. So field training and less will actually change. The way you do your laboratory practical, the way you actually interact will also change. Why learning will not remain the same after COVID-19? Why? Number one is that this period, we are going to see the emergence of personalized learning. It will never be the same. Yoruba will say, Ojo apa okin jojo ara. After this period, we can never, we won't be able to go to that normalcy, that period before COVID. So we are going to see emergence of personalized learning. What is personalized learning? This has to do with learner enjoy focus individual. If you see that some of us during this lockdown, we have been learning online, taking some courses that you like to take, unlike when you come to face, that we just have to tell you what to take and how to take it. Now, you can take it at your pace and at your leisure time. So self-paced learning, personalized learning, they are going to be the main key when we're during this post-COVID-19. You are going to witness what is called self-direction, and then you are going to also see a lot of mentoring online and then setting your goal. Some months ago, there is not this concept of virtual personal assistant, that is virtual PA, seems alien. That is, what we are used to is you have a personal assistant in your office and less following you around, helping you to carry your file. But now you can employ what is called virtual PA. That is that your personal assistant is somewhere in a distance, and then he or she is assisting you with your daily work and that. Let me just share. Some months ago, at the onset of COVID-19, we had to engage some research assistants here at FUT. And based on the lockdown and the rest, what we just did, conduct the interview online and also ask them to work remotely from the comfort of their home. And they did the work marvelously well. So what I'm saying is that personalized learning, personalized work, personalized workspace are some experiencing after this period. So why learning will never be the same? Instead of that one straight jacket of face-to-face, take everything as contained in, as recommended to you. Now it is going to be, you have to learn what you want to learn, when you want to learn it, and where you want to learn. And then again, adopting e-learning, virtual learning, online learning. Yes, so in the during the previous presentation by the presenter, he gave us some list of some universities. The list is though not totally exhaustive, but at least he gave an idea of some that have moved from single mode university to dual mode. So some months ago, some years ago, some universities they were actually feeling reluctant to adopt e-learning, virtual learning, and online learning. But now, everybody, we are almost there. Everybody, so it's more or less like now, that's the other way. So what I can assure you that post-COVID-19 era and during COVID-19 era, we are going to see more the adoption of e-learning, virtual learning, and online learning. So I don't want to bore us about what are the distinctions or what are the differences between the both. You can actually take note of this one when you have the slide. And I made mention that during this during the post-COVID-19, your laboratory session, practical sessions, they are going to witness serious 180-degree interface. We are now talking about augmented reality. We are talking about virtual reality. We are talking about 3D animation. So you can use all these ones to actually teach people how to connect, how to diagnose problem. And then this one, because it is being recorded and rest, you can go back to it after the whole exercise, and then you can source for online assistance. Moderator, please take note. So,
moderator, please
take note, please. So, and then again, there is going to be new set of teachers and facilitators. There are sometimes ago, we regard our facilitators, our teachers, our lecturers as they know it all, but now it is going to be different. So now it is going to be about facilitating learning. When you say facilitating, you are just providing, you are just guiding learners on what to learn, and perhaps making the content available in format that they will actually want to learn. Because one thing I will also want to share is that most of us will have graduated with first class, but because the system was not designed to meet needs, so we end up graduating with ordinary pass or top class. I'm sure now that we are being on lockdown, most of us have been learning what we want to learn and doing it how we want to learn. So, and then there will also be acceptability of ICT-enabled supported blended learning system as recommended by NUC. So you can see that when we say ICT, yeah, because some of us will be saying, yeah, but we don't have electricity in Nigeria, we don't have power, how do we do that? With what NUC is recommending, which is ICT blended, that is a bit of online, offline, and then your material is mixed media format, you are going to see that most universities or most higher educational institutions in Nigeria, they are going to adopt this because we have some learners that are in remote area and we don't want them to feel differentiated. They also must be carried along. Don't forget our SDG goals, education for all. We must also be able to learn. So ICT supported blended learning system will actually be the order of the day. So in conclusion, and one is that institution, I don't want to say it with certainty that, we may not resume next week or 2 weeks, but one thing I can recommend is that we may have to run staggered calendar in contrast to what we are used to. Staggered means that maybe in order to make use of our existing infrastructure, the classroom that normally take 1,000, we may have to just allow it to take 200. That means that we may have to have, maybe this month or today it may be year 5 or year 3, and the next week it may be. So staggered calendar. And then university preparators, government owners must invest now heavily in infrastructure, in environment that will facilitate learning using what NUC has recommended, which is ICT supported, ICT-enabled supported blended learning. And again, in all our institutions, either primary, secondary, or anyhow, there is need for us to strengthen our ICT capability. Don't forget, now we are talking about hackers. So it means that we need security people, but these security people are not going to be those who have 6 packs and the rest. They are going to be those who can handle the hackers, the black hat people who handle them. So when we say security, we don't mean go and build your muscle unless we need a lot of ICT support, and then they must be strengthened. So there may be hybridization of coursework. What we mean by this as part of the recommendation is that coursework may not just be you reading tests in PDF format or taking your notes. You may have to watch videos and rest, and then you may also have to be, maybe today you are in classroom, today you are watching your virtual reality and rest, and tomorrow you are the internship online internship center. So there may be hybridization of coursework in line with a present reality. And then part of the recommendation that I can give as part of those things that may never remain the same is that we may need to use more of artificial intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality. But one thing, let me state this one clear. The augmented reality or virtual reality may need to be augmented itself in order to adapt to our local terrain. We may need to augment the augmented reality, and we may need to visualize the virtual reality itself. So as conclusion, one thing is that, and which I can assure you is that learning will never be the same. So the COVID-19 has imposed much more constraints on educational institutions, and we need to respond to this. And then post-COVID-19 will actually rely largely on computer-based technology through online and virtual learning, in contrast to the conventional face-to-face that you are used to, and the quality. And then we need to also employ or take cognizance and develop learning management system that will suit our reality in Nigeria. We may have to look inward to develop our learning management system. And then we may need to develop increased presence and capacity in IT or ICT in learning. And then for our young ones and some of the participants that have been so much focused on building that six packs, on building that muscle, you may need to build more of your brain and more of your technical skills than your muscle this time as part of post-COVID-19 era. Because why are you building muscle if you will not actually be able to go out and show the muscle? But you can stay with your computer and muzzle those people that may be creating a problem as we have experienced here some minutes ago. So it is on this note, I say thanks for listening, and then it has been a time well spent with you. So if you have any question, the moderator will do that. Thanks and God bless.
Thank you so much, Professor Musa Abiodun Aibinu, for that educative and insightful presentation. I believe we have learned one thing or the other from your presentations, but some of the highlights is that he has been able to take us through what the state of the learning was before the COVID-19, then the state of the learning during the COVID-19, and what is likely going to happen post-COVID-19. And some of the things that we need to brace up for are some of the challenges of the post-COVID-19, that is the new normal, whereby things are not going to remain the same as we used to have. Like it shows us in the slide that the overcrowded classes may not be necessary again. So there is a need for us to either upskill or reskill, as the case may be. We may have to do personalized learning. That is in post-COVID-19, learning may be personalized, self-paced, at least you go at your own pace. Then we may have to adopt e-learning, virtual reality, and augmented reality, as the case may be. And there is going to be new sets of teachers. The teachers in post-COVID-19 era are going to be essentially facilitators of learning. And there is going to be acceptability of ICT-enabled supported blended learning system as recommended by NUC and other governing bodies. Thank you so much once again, Professor Abiodun Musa Aibinu, for that wonderful presentation.